Today's episode of TWIMMO is brought to you by Elder Scrolls Online. If you want to pre-order and save 20% off of your Elder Scrolls Online pre-order, just head on over to offergb.com/ESO. What's up, everybody? Welcome to This Week in MMO for March 14th, 2014. I'm Gary again, and coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about some Elder Scrolls Online and maybe some other stuff. Maybe not, depending how we feel. Joining me, as always, Mr. Mike Bird. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, sir. I feel like we just finished up some shows.
We did. We had a late night of shows. you were in on all the shows last night. Legendary, Game Breaker, now
right?
TWIMMO.
It was fun.
Are you coming on Republic today as well?
I don't know.
Wow. Well,
we shall talk.
All right. Well, that's coming up here in just a short little hour and a half after this live. So
totally forgot about that.
Let's talk about you were a little out of it last night. It's a little late for you.
Happy March 14th, everybody.
Happy March 14th. Do we want to talk about Warlords of Draenor? Nah, go watch Legendary.
I think we have to talk about it a little bit, though, just because the date. I mean, the end of March all of a sudden got very busy for across the MMO spectrum, and then you throw in Diablo 3, and then all of a sudden, boom, WildStar's date, right on the heels of a weird date. I mean, it's just a lot of news this week, all over the board. So I think we have to talk about at least the date, and then for all the other changes and stuff, go watch Legendary.
All right, what do you want to talk about?
December 20th? Really?
You want to talk about the date?
Really?
It's a day. It's a day. It's a couple days before Jesus' birthday.
It just, I don't know. It seems like it came out of nowhere. Like, we all knew it was 2014. You already said it was 2014.
But they said on or
putting
before.
The 20
on or before. That's very different than it's coming out in December.
Before. So why even put it out there? I
think, I don't know, maybe with all the other dates coming out and with, Wild, I don't know, maybe they just felt it was the time to at least, tell people. I don't know. You think it's added more confusion than anything? They should have just waited and actually come up with a real date?
Yes, because we all know it's going to be earlier than this. This didn't benefit Blizzard in any way besides shutting up people that said there's still no date for it. Well, there still technically isn't a date for it. It's on or before 11 days before the end of the year. So they cut 11 out of 365. I don't understand the benefit of giving that date out there.
And I guess the assumption now from gamers is closer to December 20th than anything else. They're probably in that window of it's going to come out towards Christmas. Well, I mean, if you look at the MMO space, I can't off the top of my head, I don't have a calendar in front of me, but if you think about the MMO space in general for the holiday, Q4 is huge for any game.
Right.
And it seems like all the other big contenders are getting their stuff out of the way earlier. So you've got ESO coming up, that'll be out of the way. Now you've got WildStar. That'll be out of the way. So actually, maybe this time, maybe Blizzard will kind of stay out of the way and instead of trying to disrupt some of the other releases, maybe they'll just have their own window, and people have played WildStar for a couple months by then and kind of either figured if that's their home or if they're going to leave or if they're kind of torn, which we kind of feel like, at least in this community, we know most of the people who are excited about WildStar are WoW fans, right? So give them a few months in WildStar and then go, hey, why don't you come back? We know you love us. We know you love us. We got the Warlords. Come on back.
The thing that I don't like about this, though, is that it seems like, hey, we really want to get a hold of that pre-order money, and we're not going to have such a great time getting a hold of that money if we don't have some date out there. So let's throw out, our last possible ever date. It seems kind of underhanded. We want the pre-order money, so we're going to give you this and cut 11 days off the calendar. I can't see them waiting anywhere near this long. Blizzard or World of Warcraft fans would lose their mind if they had to grind the regular stuff for the next 9 months until this comes out. That's just not going to happen.
You don't think so?
No. And Shafnet called winter. I still tend to agree with Shafnet, who was looking more around September, October-ish, in that vicinity. I can't imagine this going to December And the only reason they tossed the date out there to me is we want to get the pre-order money, and we're not going to do it without a date.
You can't. Yeah, I mean, you can't do a
Seems
pre-order
kinda
without
dirty.
giving people some sort of a date. You can't say, "Hey, pre-order this game that's may come out sometime in the future."
I don't know. It doesn't. This isn't Blizzard to me. This isn't their MO. You know, they've usually stomped on release dates for other people, and now that there's a WildStar date, you know something's going into beta at the beginning of June from Blizzard.
Probably.
Whether it's Heroes or Draenor, which would make sense with a December timeline, a 6-month beta. Ugh.
Well, I guess for WoW players out there, I mean, let's hope it's out sooner than later. But I don't know. I can see that it's a nice open window. It's a nice open window. People love buying stuff. You know, there's that time of the year that you buy presents.
I hope you like Siege of Ogrimmar.
Yeah, well, I'll just be playing it for a little longer. I don't know. What do you think about the price? The price increase. We talked about that on Legendary a little bit, but $10 price increase is also not in Blizzard fashion. So maybe they're just shaking the whole place up. Let's just turn it.
I don't like the price increase from somebody that has to pay it, but I understand that it probably should have been in there a few expansions ago.
I love how you'd come up with this. This is amazing to me. Blizzard has not increased the price expansions ago, but Mike Byrne says that you should have increased the price a few expansions ago, guys.
But they had a lot more leeway then.
Why don't you go back
when you're talking
and take $10 more out of my account for the previous expansion?
You know what? Go ahead, and I feel bad. I feel like I cheated you on Kata. Yeah. No, but
because it's obvious to everyone who plays the game, it was worth $10 more. When you played it, you played it, and you were like, "Wow, this was only $40. This is so worth $50."
That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying the money that they're putting into, particularly art, which was a big point I made on Legendary. Check that out. We won't get into it here.
Now Mike Byrne's an artist. He's obviously doing. He's art. He's building, and he's obviously selling artwork as well because he knows the value. I'm fascinated by your theory on this. I legitimately am fascinated by your theory on artwork and what it's worth.
Well,
and how
okay,
much
so
artwork
look
and
at
charge more.
And I'm not just pulling that out. I mean, we've had developers on things like the Skylander series write blog posts detailing here's how the time that goes into some art asset, just something as simple as a barrel is one of the points that they used in their long post. What time goes into that from the artist, what time goes in from render, what time goes into modeling, and all that different thing, those things. And then when you look at what Blizzard's doing with Draenor, not only are they putting on the usual fare, you know, the raids, the dungeons, the enhancements to PvP, the talent changes, which we've seen in expansion over expansion, but now we're talking about also adding garrisons, a full art complement that has never existed before. We're talking about all the skins that go with that. Oh, by the way, we're talking about reskinning and redoing all of the main character models, which is a start from scratch scenario.
Definitely
anyway. It's just more art than they're used to doing, which means more people, more talent, and these guys aren't cheap. On average, a good, decent artist that's had about 3 to 6 years experience is pulling anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 a year. And if you don't pay those rates, Blizz loses their talent. So they're going to pay those rates. And now they're going to have to pay them a little bit more. It makes sense to me, but since they haven't had any increases, it seems like a big punch in the face to the fans and people talking about inflation. Well, if it was inflation, this would have happened 2 expansions ago. That can't be the reason or the sole reason. It has to be that they're sinking more assets and time into it.
I'm searching to find one person in chat that agrees with you on this. And they all think you're completely and utterly out of your mind for this. Because if anything, with a 10-year-old game, I would have expected a drop in price in 2014 for the next expansion. If they came out and said it was 30, I would have been like, that makes sense. It's $10.
And how on earth can anybody make that guess or assumption not knowing the content level that's going to be in the game? Or the time invested that you're going to be in that expansion?
I'm just saying
I agree. I hate that it was raised. Even though I can understand probably some of the reasons. No,
you're something.
Some of the reasons
you want
why
to pay
it might
more
have
for
been raised.
Kata and Lich King.
I understand some of the reasons it might have been raised, and I'm totally speculating anyway, just putting a bunch of pieces together. That doesn't mean that I like it. I think that it's kind of a slap.
You like it so much you're going to buy more than one copy. Let's be honest.
I'm not. I'm not.
You buy multiple copies of games. You love giving game companies your money.
Warcraft, I only have one copy of those collector sets, but
And
I
probably a standard
understand,
edition.
but I
You'll
don't
buy a
like
collector's
it
and a
because you.
standard.
God damn it, Gannon! It's because I hate it because they haven't done it, and so now it does seem like a deliberate price gouge. When if they would have been following natural inflation and things like that anyway, that we wouldn't even be talking about this. If they would have been spending more on development, which they probably did on previous expansions, we wouldn't, and they charged a little more, we wouldn't have been talking about this. But this is a 10-year price increase that came out of nowhere, and while the reasons may be justified, and I may understand some of the reasons, doesn't mean I like it, because it does seem like well, we don't have 12 million anymore, we only have 7 million, so we got to get 10 extra bucks from you. And you really can't defend that as much as you might understand the reasons behind it. I think it's a bad move, even though I can understand some of the thought process that might have gone into it.
Let's be honest. Everyone's going to pay it. If you were going to buy Warlords before, you're going to buy Warlords after. The $10 price change is not going to make you not purchase it. All right, let's talk about some Elder Scrolls Online. The beta's going on this weekend. Everybody's playing, having a good time. Let's sit here and talk about it. But the big controversial thing this week, why are people freaking out about this? Can you please explain? I'm at a loss of why the internet is it just that people are just bored again, nothing to do? So Matt Firor did an interview with Zam, the Zam.com peeps, and he confirmed that they would be selling a horse in the cash shop, and the amount of internet rage completely and just was overwhelming. Now, why? I'm asking why. Why?
Because this is a sub-based game where they've repeatedly said your sub will cover all the content. It's not going to block you. They've repeatedly
doesn't block you.
In initial talks where they said, we're going to have a cash shop. They pulled the cash shop information back and said, well, we're going to be selling things that you would expect. Name changes, race changes, stuff like that.
And a horse.
That's what you can expect in our cash shop. Now, right off the bat, as the game's launching, we already have, boom, one physical item in the cash shop that you can buy. Or
doesn't hold you back. You can freaking walk.
Game.
Just walk then. I mean, Blizzard's been doing this forever. Mounts have been in... Blizzard's been selling mounts forever. Oh,
and I don't like it there either.
Oh,
I don't like it there either.
It was on the website. It wasn't on the in the in-game cash shop. So there's a big difference. No freaking difference. They've been selling mounts. There's no difference. They've been selling mounts forever. We're used to this. Sub-based games.
And I don't like it there either. I don't like
Don't buy it. Don't buy it.
Exactly. That's the point. But if people are going to buy it, then they're going to do this. And if you think
art,
ZeniMax,
art, that horse is that art. That horse.
Here we go.
That horse is a lot of art. There's a lot of textures and shit. Artists apparently get paid 60 to 80 grand, and $10, maybe 25. I don't know. What does Blizzard charge for a mount now? 25.
Like 25ish.
Yeah. Horse, $25. Nobody has to buy this. I don't know why people are freaking out about this. Like, if you had asked me before this came out,
it feels like a broken promise. That's why.
I feel like
that's why it feels like a broken promise.
What did they promise? They promised they're not going to sell the
when they've
content.
Talked about their cash shop and everything, they have said that it was going to be more for those name-changey type things, those transaction-y type things, not items. And while we understand that at some point in the future, 6 months or 8 years from now, the game will probably go free to play and have a cash shop, just like most MMOs will go at some point in their lifeline. We didn't expect this at freaking launch to be something that's offered in the cash shop already.
So now the launch makes the difference? Like 6 months, it's okay to sell a mount. Day one, it's not?
If you think that they're just going to have a mount, I think you're sorely mistaken. They didn't build the architecture for this just so they could sell one horse along with your name change.
No.
They're going to add more to this right off the bat when they've already made previous statements saying that wasn't their intent. It feels almost like back when they announced the collector set and all of a sudden a race was in it. When they made previous comments saying we're not going to block that type of content. If you're a subscriber, you have access to all that content. Yes, I understand this horse you can get in-game, or if you have the collector set, you're going to get the Imperial horse anyway, so the horse may be totally moot. It's not the item itself that's causing the problem. It's the fact that there is an in-game item available right from day one in a cash shop, in a sub-base game, that is not tested as far as what its subscriber base is going to be.
Do you think the same people who are complaining about this in East are the same people who still complain about it for WoW and just don't like it in general?
Yeah. Me.
Then all right, then deal with it. And I'm not gonna go away.
And I don't buy them in WoW either.
That's
But
all you
that's
gotta
going to be the
do.
most important thing is if you hate this like I do and a lot of people do, you need to vote with your wallet. And if you get suckered in and end up buying it anyway, then don't yell when they put more and more stuff in.
So doesn't bother me. Like like if you
Oh,
like
I hate it. I hate it.
why? You just can't get the horse. Big deal. Go play the game. Just run. It's okay.
I hate it.
And if you want you need
It's
a
not
horse.
that it's a
Just
damn horse. It's
save up
not
your
that it's a
gold
horse.
and get the horse.
It's not that it's a horse. It's that
It's a
there's a
quality of
cash
life
shop.
thing.
It's not a quality of life thing. It's a content piece.
Does the horse give you quests?
Killing me, Gannon. You're
The
killing
horses,
me.
of course. I don't know. I really don't have a problem with this. If you would have asked me before this interview if I
don't
thought they were
like
going to
that
do this, I
every
would have
time
absolutely
we
said
turn
yes.
around,
I think that they would have done this. This is like a given. I'd be like, look at what Blizzard does.
and I
World of
believe
Warcraft's
that.
been selling
I
pets
agree.
and mounts and stuff in the cash shop for ages,
I
and they're a
agree.
sub-based
It's
game.
not that it's not
They'll
that
do
it's a damn horse, Gannon. It's that every time we turn around, they change the story. It changes every single time we turn around. It started with the collector's edition and the stuff being pinned behind the extra payment wall of the collector's edition, and now it's going to start at launch with the cash shop. I understand. And if you want to compare it to Guild Wars 2, fine, but Guild Wars 2 didn't have a sub. Yeah, they had their cash shop with these types of things in it at launch, but it wasn't a sub-based game. And they also didn't come out and say, hey, we're going to be a sub-based game, and you're going to have access to all content for that sub. Their cash shop is going to be restricted to the transaction-y type items. And then they went ahead and changed it with the collector's edition, went ahead and changed it with this. It's not that it's a horse. It's not that it's an item. It's the fact that every time we turn around, ZeniMax keeps changing things that they've previously said, which begs the question, what can you trust and what can't you trust about what they've said for the future of this game once it launches?
Well,
That's all I'm saying.
what I can tell you is we're the heroes in all of this because I'm going to save you, Burn, a little bit of money here, and you can buy your damn horse. So if you go to offergb.com/ESO, you can pre-order your digital or Imperial digital edition and save 20% off, and then you can have your horse, and it'll all be fine. Because I know you really love the horse. Of course, of course. I don't know. I really don't have a big deal with this, and I'm okay with things having to change as well. I don't know. I don't. If they start selling power items, I say it crosses the line. Like if they start
What's
selling,
to make you think they won't? Blizz does in
I-
there, store the experience XP boosts and things like that.
I don't consider that. No, experience boost is not the same. I'm saying like a sword, like a best in slot sword. If they sell it, which they won't do, you start skirting this.
Oh my god, if we saw that, yeah. But
Right, that's where I think you
don't think
draw
it'll
the
go
line.
that far.
XP boost.
No, I draw the line right
those.
here. But it really doesn't matter because they got my collector's edition cash, so they don't care if I buy this horse or not.
They don't really care. They don't care.
They're laughing at me being mad at this, probably.
Do we know anything? I don't think we know this, but do we know anything about two things? A, the price of the horse. B, is it one of the horses that are actually available in the game as well, or is it like a special horse?
No, it's the basic horse. I don't know pricing, but if you have the collector's edition, you're fine because you're gonna have a horse in there anyway. But it's base stats horse. So you're going to want to upgrade this at some point in-game anyway, even if you make the purchase. The people that I think got shanked, and chat, you're going to have to help me out on this one because I didn't get a chance to look at the packs. I think the people that got shanked the most, the model has a little armor on it, are the ones that got, if I'm right, the digital deluxe edition, not the Imperial edition. Because I think those guys and gals paid extra for that set, and it does not have a horse in it. So they would have to buy this horse if they wanted to. They're like this odd little subset. Chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong there. So, but yeah, it's just going to be a basic horse. You're going to want to upgrade it.
Sparkle pony, apocalypse pony, gonna buy a horse. Talking about the sub fee. I think this was with GameSpot this week. So Bethesda's vice president of PR, Pete Hines, I guess when questioned about the subscription fee, he obviously defended it a bit.
Of course.
Let's see what he said. He said this. He said, we feel pretty strongly about the support we're going to have for the game and what you're going to get for those dollars. We're also very confident in our ability to support it with content, and not content of the magnitude of it's a new month, here's a new sword, or here's a funny hat, but content that is real and significant, and it feels like regular and consistent DLC releases. All right, so let's. How do you interpret that, Mr. Bird? What exactly do you expect from these regular and consistent DLC type releases?
I don't even know if I can trust it, right? They keep changing these things all the time, and going totally different directions. We've heard that the content release schedule is planning to be roughly 4 to 7 weeks ish, right around in there, maybe a little longer in some cases. What I'm hoping for is that it does feel like that's the one thing I will give Final Fantasy XIV. It may be, generic as far as the grand scheme of MMO things, but they've picked a 3 month content drop. That's their time frame every single time. And when they do drop that content, it doesn't feel like something just thrown at a funny hat or a sword. It's legitimate content, new hard modes, new extreme modes, new raid bosses, and it's a consistent schedule. 3 months, whether you like it or not, okay, but it's consistent. I hope that Elder Scrolls maintains that type of development time frame, where when these content patches, these DLC like things drop, there are enhancements or additions to the story, like we see in other games, or new dungeons, hard modes of existing dungeons, or veteran modes, as they call them, or is that WildStar? I'm getting confused with my MMOs right now. But I hope it's that level of content, and not, here's a little island, go explore it, and we're done. I want to see the story keep going and become living, breathing, and just extend itself. But
And I think that's a big question
they
for
balked
Elder
on
Scrolls
so
fans.
much. I don't know what's going on here.
And that's a big question. Will the story stuff continue? Because that's the big thing for Elder Scrolls fans, is the story, right? So how much of it will be story based, and how much of it will be sort of like raid? I guess that'll have a story around it, wrapped around as well. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. The thing I'm still I'm not saying worried about, but just it's gonna be really interesting. I can't wait to see how this game fares on console. I'm still like I still can't wrap my head around how many players on a console would pay the $15 a month for this game, which is interesting. I just don't know where it's gonna go. It's hard to imagine that a console player would spend $15 a month on a game.
See, I'm a bad example, but I played Final Fantasy XI on the PlayStation 2 from launch day forward for about
you're a
6
terrible
years.
example. You're like a huge MMO player.
I'm a bad example, but there's more of me out there that are willing to do that, and there's probably even more of those people that are Elder Scrolls fans. But it's going to be really interesting to watch those numbers rolling in on PlayStation Network, and seeing how many are actually console players keeping their subs.
Yeah,
risky proposition.
The other thing are you surprised that we haven't heard anything about the console release? We still don't have a release date. I mean, I would have almost expected something by now, I think, right? Do we have an actual date?
I think, what do we have? June is all we have.
Is that they haven't really come out with anything. I don't know. We just haven't heard much more about it.
Yeah,
and
the other thing I
saw, and I don't know if this is coming.
It was June.
Did we get? I mean, I'm kind of pulling from memory here, but did we also get confirmation that the PC version is not natively or going to actually have controller support?
There are no plans for controller support as of this time for the PC version, which is astonishing to me, given that this is primarily developed for a console with a controller. And Justin Kennedy put together a nice, X-Patter video on how to make it work, with a good layout of the buttons, because there's quite a bit. But it's just astonishing to me that there's no native support for this.
Seems like it'll be a no-brainer, right? Like, I mean, I as a player have been playing for quite a while. I've been like waiting for the patch that tells me that's in, because I actually want to experience it like that. I mean, I don't know what the holdup is on there. Last on Elder Scrolls, man, but you do have to admit one thing. Some of the patch notes and the changes that have been coming through are unbelievably fantastic. They're fixing a ton of concerns.
Yeah, and we talked about that on the last WeMo we did, where we dug into the whole news starting zones changing and the
Yep.
ability to skip those and the collision detection. So
Mhm.
I totally agree. June 2014 is still the most recent update. So
Yeah,
same
we haven't
as
really seen
for
it.
the console release.
Still gotta see some info on those adventure zones, though. I know they keep teasing them. They keep doing these interviews and they keep saying like, we're gonna be talking about adventure zones real soon, and we're gonna be talking about them. I think they did another interview with the Examiner today. The same thing. We're gonna be talking about those real soon, but we're not gonna talk about them right now. And
Right?
everybody's waiting to see those. I mean, that's the big that. I mean, now we've seen the PvP stuff, so we know what the late game is there for PvP. Now we just don't know what the ongoing Elder or late game is for PvE, which are adventure zones, which no one really
And that's
knows what
still
they
the big
are.
question mark for me. As much as I enjoy the PvP and think it's fun, it's just PvP isn't something I do as the only thing I do when I log into a game. So it's not going to keep my sub. If the only end game for me is going to be that PvP experience, there's got to be something to hook me. Even if it's not the main draw of the game, PvE, they do want to focus more on PvP, which they've said, fine. But if they don't have something there for the PvE Care Bears chat, calling me a Care Bear, you son of a, then they're just not going to hold my sub all that long, particularly with WildStar at the beginning of June.
Particularly, particularly, particularly. Michael Byrne, follow him on Twitter at MagicMan, MIGACKMANN1. And on like every show on Gamebreaker,
It feels that way.
UDSP, TWIMMO, he's coming on Legendary, everything. Just check him out. He's all over the place. You can follow me at Gary Gannon. Follow Gamebreaker TV, Gamebreaker TV. If you've not heard about Gamebreaker's financial situation, please go on over to GoFundMe.com/Gamebreaker. We're in a little bit of a financial situation. We're raising money to help save Gamebreaker. So we're about, I think, last I checked, maybe about 1/3 through our goal, maybe a little bit less. But whatever you can do, if you've liked any of our content over the past 5 years, any of this show or any of the others, and you can donate, please, please, please consider a donation to Gamebreaker to help us out in our time of need. More shows coming. And another way for you guys you can help, if you can't donate, go over to the deals page, gamebreaker.tv/deals, DEALS. We have lots of great deals, including Elder Scrolls Online at 20% off. Everything that you buy on the Gamebreaker deals page helps Gamebreaker in a little bit of a way. So thanks so much for that as well. Hey, we do the show live every single Friday at 3. So come on over for the live show. It's a good time, and we'll see you next week. Oh, and check out the new website. It kicks ass.